Okay, so 16, just a quick review because we did this just now and on Friday, right? So we figured out the payment, total interest, here, total paid to the bank. Always read carefully. How is it worded? What am I trying to find? Which one of these formulas is Mr. Dirksen or the question trying to get me to use, right? And always know, right, all the little components here. Can I just say this one more time? I put that in red. Table rate. You need a table, which I will provide you with on a test. You will have that table. You don't need to bring this booklet and go to page 18 every time. But it only shows up one time. One time, right here. Do not use it anywhere else, because sometimes I have students using that one here because, hey, rate, you know, it's the same, it's a rate. This is your interest rate. This is the table rate, right? So it's different. Okay. Just a quick reminder that your payment, if this whole bar represents the whole payment you have every month, it is always made up of two components, which is the small principal and the small interest, the interest on the first month, which we're going to talk about a little bit today. So let's go to 17. So I'll walk you through this example, and then you'll have some time to work through more on your own. And it's very important that you read carefully. Okay? If you read carefully, you will be able to answer it properly. Okay, so there's a 2007 Subaru at a dealership. That should stick out to you. So we're talking, it doesn't matter if it's used or new. At a dealership, it's always 12%. All right? There's a base price of $13,899, and there's those two words before taxes. There's a down payment of $1,800 required. Subaru's financing the offer, so that's telling you that the dealership is financing it. They often finance it themselves. And there's your interest rate, and this is 5 years. I will just say this here, interest rate, right? That's the interest rate. This is what we call the amortization. It's a fancy word of saying how long you will take to pay it off. Okay, I want you to know that because banks use that all the time. Okay. Page 17, okay? Let's go through this. Total cost including taxes. So this is, I'm just going to call this used dealer. Could be new, could be used. Taxes are the same. $13,899. What do I do here? There's a down payment. You don't worry about it. Only if there's a trade-in. Remember my formula, right? If there's a trade-in, you need to take it off. There is no trade-in, no safety, no parts and labor, no lien search, nothing. So it's basically just this times 1.12. And so we have that is 15,566.88. This is what the question is asking after tax. Most questions involving financing will not ask you to add the taxes. Just read carefully. The amount of loan required. Loan is the price minus any down payment. And I will talk about this real quick here. The down payment is $1,800. And this is $13,766.88. I want to talk about down payment real quick. Down payment is a one-time payment you make at the beginning of the loan, right? So the main goal of the down payment is to bring down the amount you're trying to finance. Most of the time, there's no down payment required. Most banks will just lend you the whole amount. So down payment is not a requirement, but a lot of people will save up money, right? And then just say, I have $5,000. So if your car is 15 grand that you're planning to buy, you're like, I'll pay 5. So 10 grand still needs to be financed, right? It needs to be paid back with payments using a financial institution, a bank or some sort. So it's not a requirement, but quite often it's there. Okay, so the monthly payment, that's just PMT. I'm going to use that. No, I'm going to start from scratch, pretending the previous question never happened. Right, so just to know if there's an amount, I got to take my down payment off, and I have to multiply that by a table rate over 1,000. Go to page 18 and find that real quick. It will take you 5 seconds. I want you to just make sure you know how to do that. So page 18. I will just make this appear. So you need the interest rate, and 5 years. So it's $19.69 per $1,000. Okay, I'm going to write that down. Let's do this. Normally, I will just set it up, and then I will figure out what this is and just write it down underneath it. So you go 15,566.88 minus 1,800. That's the down payment. So it's 13,766.88, which we already had up here. And this is what we call the loan. Okay, this is, I'm just going to leave it like that. It's going to get too busy if you, but this, so if you have a calculator like mine, or any calculator for that matter, I take that loan and multiply it by 1969, hit equals, and then I divide it by 1,000. So it's 271.07, and that's per month. That payment doesn't change. Once you sign the paperwork, right, over 5 years, doesn't matter what happens to the economy, doesn't happen what happens to the value of your car, 271.07 is expected every month. No, you can't default. If you defaulted, take it back. And your credit rating is going to go down, and it's going to cause a bunch of issues for you. Okay. You know what? I'll say something right here about the payment. Okay. If you make a payment and you want to pay it off a little bit faster, don't tell the bank, well, actually make the payment $350 a month. I can handle $350. Don't do that. Say, keep it like this, keep it at 271, but then you tell them make a second payment, set up a second payment at the same time for, let's say, I don't know, maybe you have $50 left over every month that you can spare. And so you have a payment that's $271 and a payment that's $50 happening at the same time, right? And let's say you come across a month where it's like tight. Something unexpected happened. You can't spare the $50, right? You can call the bank and say, you know, that payment coming up, the $50 one, cancel it. I can't do it. No problem. They will have no problem with that because it was an optional payment. Whereas this one, once you sign, that one cannot be skipped. You cannot cancel it or do anything like that. Okay, so if you want to pay it off faster, set up a second payment happening at the same time. And you'd be surprised. Sometimes you can like pay it off a year sooner, right? Which is awesome. And so make sure you understand that. But don't be like, oh, I've got lots of money, make it $350, right? Like, don't do that. Because once you sign the paperwork, whatever payment you agree upon, that's what you have to stay with, okay? Moving on. The total amount paid for the vehicle. So here I want you to read carefully. It's asking for the total paid for the vehicle at the end of the 5 years. So over the 5-year period, how much did you pay for the car? If you go to page 15, there are all these formulas there that I gave you. And total paid for the car is at the bottom here. So this is the one you need to use in this case. So I'm going to go total paid for the car. I'm going to take my down payment and add. I'm going to go from scratch as if I haven't seen, right, the previous question. So the payment times 12 times, in this case, it's 5 years. It could be 4 years, 3 years, whatever the case. So it's 1,800 plus 271.07 times 12 times 5. That's 16,264.20. You know what? When you do this, payment times 12 times 5, that's how much you paid the bank, right? So you paid this in payments, and this you paid before you started the loan, right? So that's the total paid for the car. So let's just add 1,800, 18,064.20. It has to be 0.20. Okay. That's total paid for the car. Yes. I'm going to say total paid for the car over the 5-year stretch. Sometimes it says over the life of the loan, or it's the same thing. How much money in interest alone was paid? How much in interest was paid, right? That is indicating you that they're asking you for total interest. And again, I'm going to pretend like I don't know what just happened before this question. So I'm going to go 271.07 times 12 times 5. You know what? Let's put years here. Otherwise, you're going to have an example. No matter what I do, you're going to put 5 down every time. Right? This is 5 years in this particular case. Minus the formula calls for loan. And the loan is always, watch this. You go back up because you will have figured out the payment before, right? This is your loan. Whatever you get after taking off the down payment is your loan. So just go up there and find this number, plug it in there. So this is total paid to the bank minus the loan. Okay? I'm following the formula to the T. I can cheat a little bit because I know this is the same as this here. So I'm just going to go 16,264.20. minus 13,766.88. I'm going to subtract these two numbers. And, oh, I'm on the wrong page here. And I get 2,497.32. Clearly indicate your answer. I will also say that this is the finance charge. Don't want you to be thrown off by terminology. Okay, that's why I'm kind of mixing it up, right? Total interest, finance charge. It's also known as the cost of financing, right? Okay, keep going. How much interest was paid? This is different. Okay, so if you're falling asleep, don't fall asleep not right about now. You want to wake up, right? This is important. First month. Interest, yes, not total interest, only on the first month's payment. And I will write out the formula because this is, I want you to get this right. So it's taking the loan, you multiply it by the interest rate as a percent, but you will divide it by 100 because that's what we always do when there's a percentage on that. So let's put this in brackets like this, okay? So loan times interest rate divided by 100, and it's only the first month. Do you remember I equals PRT from grade 11? Simple interest. This is technically that formula. So loan interest divided by 12. And now I'm going to replace my loan. I go up, way up here. It's 13,766.88. Times interest rate divided by 100. So this is what you do. Some students divide by 100 twice, and that's wrong. My interest rate, if you look up, is 6.75%, right? You divide that by 100, and you use all of the digits. Don't cut it short. So this will really be 0.0675. All of that divided by 12. Loan interest rate divided by 100 gives you this, divided by 12. So I encourage you to try this, right? Times 0.0675 equals, and then I divide by 12 just to be safe. And it is, watch this, $77.44. I will say this on the side, and I'm using a different color. If you have it, great. Must be less than payment. If you're calculating this, right, and you crunch numbers and you get like a big number that's bigger than your payment, in this case my payment is 271. If this number is bigger than 271, you know you made a mistake. Okay. I'm going to get rid of G here. Get rid of the wording. It's asking for sticker price. You know what sticker price is, so let's just get rid of that question. and instead we're going to use that space for something else. This is important that you understand this. So what you will do is you'll make a bar like this, right about that, and you will indicate that the whole thing, that whole bar represents your payment, which in this case is 271.07. I calculated that. I know that that's my payment. And if so, the whole thing is 271.07. We just figured out that on this is the first month. Yeah, make sure you write that down next year. This is the first month. You cut it somewhere like $71 would be right about there, I think. Approximate is fine. Right? So the 77.44 is the interest you pay this month. Because every month the bank takes a little bit from your payment, and that's their profit. Put down right under it that this is lowercase I. This is lowercase p, which is the small principal, right? This goes towards loan. And we know, pay close attention to this part, these two components always add up to your payment. I'll say that again. This, like the lowercase p and the lowercase I, will always add up to your payment. Okay. So since we now know what I is, we can just subtract, right? Take 271.07 minus this. It will give us the principal portion of this particular payment. So I'm going to go 271.07 minus 77.04, and that is 193.63. Okay. And so that is what goes in this side of the bar. Okay. These combined always make you the payment, right? So technically every single payment will be recalculated, and slowly over time this is going to go up and the interest that they charge you will go down, because you owe less. Every payment you make, you owe less and less and less, so the amount of interest slowly goes down. And if you look at every single month, if you were to take the interest you pay every single month, this will blow your mind. No, not really, but it will add up to the total interest you paid over the 5 years. Okay. So every month a little bit is taken off, and it's put towards the interest which the bank charges you. So when you do this calculation, you figure out what all of them are combined. Okay. I'll talk more about this later. For now, work on pages 20 to 22. It goes to 23. If you're keen on doing very well, I will post the key all the way to 23. But I would say at the very least you should go from 20 to 22. So start today, okay? Don't let it slip. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.